Your old buddy Troy has traveled down to the mean streets of Red Hook, Brooklyn today to meet up with Kate Stamas in her old stomping grounds to talk about her character at a bar called the Brooklyn Ice House. I don't know about you, Kate, but I like to start my day with some champagne.
Hell yeah.
Is this your beer of choice, Miller High Life?
Yes, usually with a shot of whiskey, but...
All right, I'll be right back. We'll get a couple shots of whiskey. We're in Red Hook, Brooklyn today. Why are we here? Why is this significant to you?
I lived here the longest since I was in Brooklyn. Moved here in like 2010, left late last year. So we were here for probably like 13, 14 years. So this is my original haunt, the first bar that we made ours.
This bar?
Yep.
What made this bar your go-to bar?
I mean, look at it.
It is pretty awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was cool. Cheap drinks. We knew the staff. They let us stay here all night.
Okay, that's good.
Ticks all the boxes.
How far away did you live? Was this like walking distance?
Oh yeah, like a block that way.
Okay.
I lived in a building on this side of the street, like literally a block down for most of the time I was here. And then for the last 5 or 6 years, you can see it from the front door. There's like a battery-looking building across the street.
I don't think I've spent much time in Red Hook. I remember right after graduation, while I was still like friends with the kids I went to college with before you move on in life, even though they're all still friends. They were like, let's get together and play football. We were 23 years old, and they said that we rented a field in Red Hook. And I lived on the Upper West Side. I was like, all right, I'll come out to Red Hook. I don't even know where that is or how to get there.
Ball fields?
Yep, must have been the big ball fields. And we played football for like 2 hours, and I couldn't walk for a week. That's what I think of whenever I think of Red Hook. But now I'll replace that memory with this memory.
Yay.
All right, I'll see you.
Okay, bye.
We're here not just to drink during the day and rip shots off camera, but also to talk about your character for our upcoming relaunch of the Glass Cannon podcast. Let's start with the basics. What ancestry and class are you playing?
I am playing a half-elf, human elf. I think that's the only way you can be a half-elf, right?
You know what? No. It used to be you were kind of like pigeonholed into that, but they've definitely made it clear that you could be anything. You could be a Minotaur elf.
I didn't think about that until I said it right now. I'm like, is it only human? But yeah, I'm a half human, half elf.
Okay.
Half elf, and I'm playing a monk.
A monk. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I knew the monk, but I didn't know half elf. I love that. I used to always play half elves because you got the best of both worlds. You got the little bit of human, and you got the elf coolness. You live longer. Yeah. Why monk though?
I mean, I've just always wanted to play a monk. I remember when you guys first reached out to play that mystery game that I never found out what it was before the pandemic.
Right.
We were going to do like a practice game before that, and Joe was like, what character do you want to play for this practice round of gaming? And I was like, a monk. I want to play a monk really bad. But I guess in Pathfinder First Edition, it's like not that fun to play a monk.
That's what they
wasn't
say.
Built well, versus in Second Edition, they revamped it. There's so many different ways you can build your monk to be like super unique, and I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity to finally do that, I guess.
Now you study martial arts, or you studied martial arts?
It sounds so like official when you say it like that, but like for a few years I went to a dojo, Brooklyn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the dojo. It was called. It's on Columbia Street. You can walk there from here. And for a few years I studied Muay Thai, kickboxing, and Jiu-Jitsu.
And was your ultimate goal to be in the UFC and be the longest reigning champion of all time?
Oh yeah, I wanted to fight people. No, I didn't want to compete or fight or do any of that. I just wanted to work out and do something that would stick, and that's the only thing that's stuck. And I didn't do jiu-jitsu at first. I did Muay Thai at first, and then they eventually recruited me into jiu-jitsu, and I wasn't down at first because I was like, I don't want sweaty people touching me. Yeah. But you get to choke people, so it's like a trade-off.
That's fun. You're like, I don't want to hurt people, but I really want to choke people.
I don't want people touching me, but choking people is fun.
It's just something about feeling the life go from someone when you cut your fucking arm around their neck. You just can't beat that feeling. It's better than any Miller High Life.
It.
Just taking the life from someone. Let me ask you this. Everyone I know who's done jujitsu were a bunch of bouncers that I worked with when I was living in Los Angeles. And it's when UFC was really big, and they would practice it during the day only so they could take down and strangle unruly patrons at night. So I imagine this is all a front for you to just take out people who get unruly in your own life.
I mean, it's useful to like know that you can take care of yourself if needed, but like, yeah.
Let's say someone came in here right now, a raving maniac, grabbed a bottle of Jameson, smashed it on the bar, and came after you. How quickly could you take him down while I was running up the street?
How quickly could I take them down?
Yes.
I don't know. It depends.
Well, let's find out, because I hired a guy. Get in here, Jimmy!
Oh, God.
I gave him a bottle of whiskey.
Don't break the Jameson, though. Don't break it.
All right, so, well, this is what I'm wondering, is because you pretty quickly were like, I'm thinking monk. You gave me a bunch of things. You were the first one out of anyone to be like, I want to play this, maybe this, how about this? When I thought monk, I thought it was somehow connected to your interest in martial arts.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to role play. Not a character that, like, is mentally sound and stable, but, like, it'd be fun to role play the fighting scenes, I think.
Yeah.
But with that said, the type of monk that I'm building is not your typical brawling monk. I'm doing the monastic archery route.
Let's go. Okay.
So, yeah.
This is very different. Yeah, this is what my next question was going to be. Are you going to be a kickboxer, a grappler? No, you're going to be like in Pathfinder 1, it was called the Zen Archer, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I'll still be able to fight and use my hands,
Sure.
but the cool thing about the monastic archery route is that monks get the flurry of blows with their fists. You can essentially use that with your bow and arrow. So I can just like, bow, bow, bow.
That's
So.
cool. Are you a big meditator?
No.
No. Do you think your character is?
Yeah.
When I think monk, I just figure like sitting at one
Yeah.
with the universe.
Well, one of the like twists for role playing is that like they have a little bit of anxiety that like is mellowed by like their practices and like being a monastic archer and being a monk and with their studies. So there's some of that with it, but that's one of the things I'm a little nervous about role-playing wise is role-playing a chill.
Someone at peace with themselves?
Yeah.
Well, you'll start out at first level, so maybe
Yeah.
you'll be more akin to you, and then by
Right.
20th, not only will your character grow, but you will grow as a person.
That's what I was thinking.
Become at one with yourself.
Yeah.
Or not.
We become our characters. Our characters become us.
Or you could die like 3 levels in and come back as a ranger. A very anxious ranger. All right, so you're going to be a monk, Zen archer. Have you started like, you think you're going to name your bow? Does your bow have a story to it?
I do want to name the bow. I like fixate on perfect names for things. So I don't have a name for the bow yet. I don't have a name for like the parents and like the monastery that they're seeking. I do have the name for the character though.
Oh, that's cool.
Should I say it?
Sure, we can always cut it out.
Zephyr.
Zephyr.
Yeah.
Based on that Red Hot Chili Pepper song, Fly Away on My Zephyr. Is that what it's based on?
Yeah, how did you guess?
I just figured you were a huge Chili Peppers fan.
Loved them.
Yeah, that might not even be the name of the song, but that's certainly a lyric. Let me ask you this. I'm going to throw this out there. If you don't like it, you just throw it back. Let's say you were a monk and you like fucking practice karate on a tree. And just like, what is it, like a wooden dummy, like doing Wing Chun on a tree? And that tree became a part of you, and then you carved the bow from that tree. You're welcome. You can have that.
I'll keep it for now.
Okay.
I'll keep it for now.
I'm going to build that character if you don't.
Like, that's your first cutscene, by the way.
Right, that's it right there. I just gave it away.
You don't get to choose.
We'll cut that. Zephyr. Why Zephyr? Is that like a cloud type thing, or is it
I just thought the name was really cool.
Zephyr? Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it'd be cool, like, if, as I get to know the other characters, you can shorten it to Zeph.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do we know the sex of this character?
She, yeah. Yeah.
She.
Feels like a she.
All right, so we're looking at a female half-elf Zen Archer. Do they still call it Zen Archer? Or am I
Monastic archery.
Monastic.
Yeah.
I'm still going to call it Zen Archer. And you have a bow that was built out of the tree that you used to practice your martial arts on. This is very exciting.
Exactly.
Now here's something I want to throw out at you. One of the things we're doing with this adventure is like it's set in Galarian. We're using all this Galarian stuff, but where you guys can come from anywhere in the world, I really wanted you to, choose a location, but then make your actual hometown your own. Something that isn't, Paizo's IP, really. Have you thought about that? Thought about at least where you're from, if you haven't decided what the name of your village is?
So she's from, her family lives in like this kind of little bustling port town.
Ooh.
And I think I decided that the dad is the elf and that he is kind of like a hunter by trade.
Okay.
And that's how like him and Zephyr like bonded growing up and how they found out she maybe was good at archery. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they just kind of like do trade stuff in this port town, and they lived there, and she went to school there for a while, and she was bullied a little bit. And her parents were a little worried about it, so they took her out of that school and sent her to a martial arts school in the town, and she started thriving there. And then my thought was maybe that school didn't have someone who like specialized in like monastic archery, and they realized how good she was at it. So they're like, hey, if you want to get better at this, you're going to have to find another monastery to study at. And maybe that's why she left, and that's why she's traveling right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
So you basically went to a private school.
Yeah.
You were like a privileged private school
She's like a
kid.
really rich kid with no troubles.
You took monastic archery and fencing. And studied Latin, did really well in the SATs. Here's something you probably never thought about. What's going to happen when your mother gets really old and gray and your dad still looks like a young stud? Because that's how it works if your dad's the elf.
What's my character going to do?
Yeah. And what's going to happen? What are you going to do when your dad remarries like 6 times? Because he's going to live till he's like in his hundreds, and he's just going to run through moms like nobody's business.
I mean, maybe by then he'll sit her down and have had a talk with her, being like, listen, Daddy's getting lonely.
Daddy's about to hook up with a lot of human women over the next century, and I don't expect you to call them mom, but what was your mom's name, by the way? That's what he'll say to you. I'm just role-playing this conversation. We're really getting into it here. I really want to ask the questions that you probably didn't think about.
Didn't think about that, you're right. Yep.
Let me ask you this. Do you have any tattoos that are Glass Cannon Network related?
Nope, not yet.
Do you think that this process of being a part of this will be the thing that finally puts you over the edge?
You don't need to try that hard to like get me to get a tattoo for any reason. Like if we were in Denver and you were like, we want to go get tattoos, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Anywhere we go, anything we do, I will do it. I'm down.
That sounds like a yes to me.
I mean, it wouldn't have been my first work tattoo, so.
Let's go get one now.
Yes, let's go.
I'm not going to get one, but you should definitely get one.